right, so you guys should be turning your 6-5 notes to this very last example that we have. 5 2/9, and we're taking away 6 2/3. Now, one thing that we really need to work on in here is active participation. So, when you go to subtract two fractions, I want you thinking right now, this is a think, pair, share, we're going to call it. Think to yourself, what's the first thing? You're just thinking, you're not talking. Think to yourself, what's the first thing you need to check for before you can add or subtract two fractions? You're just thinking about it. And then it's called a think, pair, share. The first part is think. The second part, I want you to pair up with the person or the people, because some of you guys are in like a group of 3, right next to you. And I want you to turn and tell them what's the first thing you need to check for before you can add or subtract two fractions. Go ahead and go. All right, and voices off in 3, 2, and 1. And then the third part is a share. Who wants to raise their hand and share what you came up with? So you had to think about it. You paired up and talked about it. Now who wants to raise their hand and share? And after talking about it, I should see lots of hands in the air because you had the opportunity to double check that your answer was right with somebody else. It should give you more confidence when you go to raise your hand. Good, we're looking for a common denominator. Go ahead and underline your denominators for me, please. I want you to underline both of the denominators. And shake your head yes or no. Do we currently have a common denominator? Shake your head yes or no. You don't need to say anything. Just shake your head yes or no. Do we currently have a common denominator? No, we do not have a common denominator. So we need to rewrite these fractions to give them a common denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and write 15 2/9. And I'm going to write 6 2/3. I'm going to start organizing my work. So go ahead and write that down for me. And I want you thinking about the common denominator. We need a number that both 3 and 9 can go into. So right now you're just thinking about it. Thinking of a number that 3 and 9 can both go into. Now, when I have you pair up, now you're just thinking, what's your common denominator? And now I want you to pair up with your group and tell them what is the common denominator. And then who can raise their hand and share what they came up with? What is the common denominator that both 3 and 9 can go into? Raise your hand. What is your common denominator? 9. Very good. So we have to rewrite both of these fractions out of 9. So the whole number is going to stay the same. So keep your whole number the same. Now my first fraction is already written out of 9. I've already got 15 2/9. So that first fraction is already written as 15 2/9. Right now, I want you guys to rewrite 2/3 as a fraction out of 9 for me. So everybody needs to do that right now. Rewrite this 2/3 as a fraction out of 9. Good. I'm going to give everybody a chance to do it. And who can raise their hand and tell me, what did you have to do to this 3 to turn it into a 9? What did you do to the 3 in order to turn it into a 9 in my denominator here? Times by 3, very good. Now we're all going to do this one together. What you do to your denominator, you have to do to your Good. What you do to the denominator, you have to do to the, let's try it again. Ready? What you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. That's better. So go ahead and multiply your numerator by 3 as well. And who can raise their hand and tell me what you're getting there? What do you get in your numerator? 6. Very good. So you get 6 ninths. 6 and 6 ninths. Now that we have a common denominator, we're going to subtract 15 and 2 ninths minus 6 and 6 ninths. Now, when we go to subtract, we come across a little bit of an issue here. The first thing you have to subtract are your fractions. Who can raise their hand and tell me what's the issue that we run into when we go to subtract these fractions? Because we can't actually subtract quite yet. What is the issue that we come across? Good. It's going to be negative, right? Can we do 2 minus 6? Shake your head yes or no. Can we do 2 minus 6? No. Now, I noticed on your homework last night, a lot of you guys decided to do 6 minus 2. But if that's not the way it's written, and subtraction is not commutative, we can't switch it around. This is currently written as 2 minus 6. So if we try to subtract, it's going to be negative, just like Viola said. So we have to do something called regrouping. All right, so I want you guys to cross off that 15 for me. And who can raise their hand and tell me what that 15 is going to become when I regroup or borrow 1 from the 15? 14. Very good. So in place of that 15, I want everybody to write 14 right now. The regrouping in that 14 is replacing the 15. Now, I just borrowed a 1 from that 14. So who can help me rewrite that 1? How do I want to rewrite that 1 so that it's a fraction? Okay, good. You get 11 ninths. Before we get 11 ninths, though, what did he initially rewrite that 1 as? He's exactly right. It's going to end up being 11 ninths. It started as 9 ninths. So go ahead and write 9 ninths. Why did she choose 9 out of 9? Why not choose 5 out of 5? Or 6 out of 6? Or 7 out of 7? Now that we rewrote that as 9 out of 9, we have to add my 2 ninths back onto it. So let's go ahead and add that 2 ninths. And that is where we got 14 and 11 ninths. So we got 14 and 11 ninths when we add those together. Do you have a question or do you have the next step? Go ahead. It is improper. You're exactly right. That's good vocabulary too. It is improper, but when we go to subtract and we take 11 in our numerator and we subtract 6, then it won't be improper any longer. So it's okay for it to be improper for just a moment. So now go ahead and who can raise their hand and subtract those fractions for me? We have 11 ninths and we need to take away 6 ninths. That was a great question. Yeah. Very good. We get 5 ninths. So 11 minus 6 gives me 5 ninths. Good. And who can subtract my whole numbers for me? 8. Very good. 8 and 5 ninths. Now who can raise their hand and tell me the last thing that we need to do to make sure that our answer is complete? What do we need to do to make sure that we have a final answer? So can we simplify this fraction? Is there a number that we can divide 5 and 9 by? I don't think so. We can do 5 divided by 5. Can you do 9 divided by 5? No. So this is our final answer. Now, I want you guys to flip to the very back worksheet right here. There are 14 questions on this worksheet here. This very back worksheet has 14 questions. This is your homework for tonight. Are these 14 questions? You have 20 minutes to get started on that right now. You must show your work. So you need to show me your common denominator. I need to see that. If you don't show me your common denominator, do you think you're going to get full credit on your homework? No, you are not.